Hey everyone, today we're checking out the Tronsmart Bang SE Bluetooth speaker. I've seen these for as low as $55 US, so you're getting some serious value for your money. So we're gonna cover everything today and I'll finish the video with some audio samples so you can hear the speaker for yourself. Now, starting with build quality, this doesn't feel cheap. It also doesn't feel premium. You're getting what you pay for, if not slightly above. It's a sturdy feeling speaker, weighing in at just over 2 kilos, 4.5 pounds. The only thing that feels cheap is the side strap, but look, it should get the job done. And I'm honestly not a fan of the Tronsmart logo on the front. It does have an IPX6 water resistant rating, so not an IPX7, that'll make it waterproof. But look, if you accidentally dropped it in a pool, it could be fine. No guarantees, but fine to use in the rain and heavy sprays of water. It just doesn't have any dust resistance, so a little bit risky if you're around sand and dirt, dust, that kind of stuff. On the top, you have control of everything: play, pause, volume up and down, track forward and back with a long hold on volume up and volume down. You also get a double tap for voice assistant, so it does have a microphone built in. Here's what it sounds like. And this is what the microphone sounds like about a meter away from the speaker. And you've also got a power button, which you do need to hold down for 3 seconds to turn the speaker on and off. I feel like a single tap would have been a bit easier. Up there, you also have the light button to cycle through 3 different options, or you can just turn them off completely. It seems like 2 of them do their own thing and one of them is supposed to work in time with your music. I found it kind of did at times, and then the lights would kind of do their own thing. But not bad, they go pretty bright, should kind of light up a dark room quite well. Now with battery life, you're getting an advertised 24 hours, a whole day's worth of battery, but that's gonna be at 50% volume with no lights on. Expect about 5 hours if you crank this at 100%. It does charge via USB-C, and you can also charge your phone with a USB port on the back or any other device, since this has a 4000 milliamp hour battery inside, which is roughly equivalent to an iPhone 14 Pro. So you could charge that up if you weren't actually using the speaker. Back there, you also have an SD card slot, which you can play music off, and you can also do this with a USB flash drive. You just don't have a screen to choose what you're gonna play, so you're just gonna have to press play and hope for the best. And you also have an old school, pretty rare auxiliary port in the back. Now with connectivity, these have Bluetooth 5.3, only SBC, but the latency here is fine. The sound quality is still fine. So watching videos and movies, barely any latency. There is the tiniest amount if you really do look for it. You just aren't getting any multi-pairing and no app support as of yet. I'll update down below if these will eventually be available in the Tronsmart app. So those are the main features out of the way, but now let's talk about sound quality. First, if you're enjoying the video, please chuck a like down there. It really does help the video out. Now let's talk about the speaker setup. You're getting 40 watts of power, 2 full range drivers on the front and 2 passive radiators on the side. And the overall sound here is pretty decent, like keeping in mind the price you are paying here. Just don't expect like JBL kind of sound quality. First, you do have some sound customization with the button on the top, which will turn sound pulse on. It sounds a lot better with that on. It kind of increases the bass and the treble slightly, makes the speaker a bit louder as well. So in terms of the bass, the speaker pushes out quite a bit, especially when you venture to higher volumes. Just don't expect any like deep subwoofer bass. This is a small speaker. Small speakers at this size aren't going to hit those really low notes, but it still works well with kick drums and mid bass. The mid range here is also pretty decent. Vocals never get lost or fall behind, and this is the same with the treble. It has nice sparkle, but does lack a bit of detail and clarity. So with the mid range and the treble, it's decent, but you're definitely not getting the best instrument separation. But bring everything together, you're still getting a pretty decent sound. There are a few issues though. First is with volume and how the speaker sounds at different volumes. So the main issue is with the low end, with the bass at lower volumes. It's pretty lacking. So basically from 0% to about 40, 50%, you just aren't getting much bass. Where if you venture to 50% and above, that's where the bass really starts to push out. Now this is an issue with DSP, digital signal processing, which basically is there to reduce distortion in the speaker, but also make sure it sounds good at low volumes and high volumes. And it just seems like the low volume DSP is not working very well at all. So there should be more bass being pushed out at those low volumes. You will hear this when I have the audio samples comparing it to another speaker. So I would say the speaker does sound the best at about 50 to 70% volume. But the issues continue because the speaker does have some slight distortion issues, mainly with low end and mid bass. Mainly when you're venturing above 50%. It's not gonna happen on all songs, but I have one song called Abraham's Gift. It has a groovy bass intro. And this is where the distortion, it's kind of more like a subtle rattling sound. This will also happen with mid frequencies and a bit of treble. sample. Another song I use to test is Source by Tycho, and in that intro, the same thing happens. You hear a subtle rattling sound, and it'll also happen with kick drums, mainly in electronic music on drops, where the kick is overly processed. There can also be some slight distortion with that as well. And I know it's not a faulty speaker because my Tronsmart Halo 100 speaker also does the same thing. So it's a bit of a Tronsmart thing. Keep in mind, this doesn't happen with most songs. It's pretty random. It really depends on how the song is produced and mastered. And it's not very noticeable. It's also going to depend on where you have your speaker placed, how close you are to your speaker. So a lot of factors. It's a subtle issue, but it's definitely there. So overall, some pretty solid sound when you're venturing above 50% volume, but here are the audio samples so you can hear the sound quality for yourself. I am comparing it to the JBL Charge 5, which is a much smaller speaker. But the reason I want to compare it to that speaker is because you can tell at the low volumes how the bass sounds on the Charge 5 compared to the low volumes on the Bang SE. So make sure you chuck on some good earphones or headphones and enjoy the samples. So overall, still very solid value from Tronsmart. Just a few quirks to iron out, but a speaker from Tronsmart that really blew me away was a Halo 100, which I reviewed right here. So be sure to check that out. In the meantime, stay picky. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.